coherence of policy, I really don't know in what perspective.
I can't really say that I can give a very quick answer to this question.
One policy can also be good in one way, but then in another field cause different problems.
It can be compared to domino.
It means implementation of the right policies on the African continent which can lead to its being transformed.
We see international policy to be about everything and not just about development aid.
Policy coherence for development is that we're not giving development aid with one hand and taking it back because of unfair trading, for instance.
Or fishing their seas empty on one hand and giving development aid on the other hand. That's very incoherent.
It's a really very important issue because many of the regulations we have here or attempts we have here can frustrate development in Africa, and sometimes that frustration is much higher and much more influential than all the good attempts we make in development aid.
You don't want any policy of the European Union, be it trade or agriculture or fisheries or whatever, go against the objective of poverty reduction. Take for instance fisheries policies. If our fisheries industries, like in Spain, go southward to Africa and take all the fish they can get, we can give all the money we can have to the people in Senegal or Mauritania, but if there's nothing to fish, their fishermen will die anyhow. They need sustainable bases to have their own economy, their own economic growth. So our fisheries policies should not go against the interests of local fishermen and women in developing countries.
That's very important because if you look at the fishery agreements that the EU makes, for example, with West Africa, that has a direct effect on the ecosystem in Africa, on the social consequences for the local fishermen. So it's very important that we not only look how much we can catch there and export on the global market, but also what are the effects for the local communities and the ecosystem.
And you know what the funny part of it is? It's actually in European Union law it's forbidden. We have in the Lisbon Treaty, we have an article, it's Article 208, I'm sorry to be technical, Article 208 is my Bible and it says that everything we do in international affairs should not harm our goal on development, which is poverty eradication. So our trade, our defense, our investment policies should not harm development. But from day to day, our daily routine is actually harming development.
Because people like to agree on the intentions, but when it comes to real action, it hurts.
This has to do with political will. In the end, everything is politics.
The short-term interest of the European Union and of industries inside member states, of employment inside the member states, are so powerful, these interests, that it is very difficult to have these interests balanced against the interests of citizens in the developing world. They can wait.
At the end of the day, it's a political decision to choose for your own economy and not for the economy of developing countries. It won't be my decision, don't get me wrong. I wish we take into account the fact that people in Africa need more coherent policy. I wish we take into account that they have to transform their own economies, and that's costing the Western world money, and that's why we're not making progress on many of those issues, unfortunately.
You should not let the one solidarity kill the other solidarity. You cannot show your solidarity towards fishermen in Spain and let fishermen in Mauritania die.
Well, we have to go to a position where people see it as a win-win. The goal is to fight poverty, to have equal trade, to have climate change adaptation, and etc. So it's not only about, well, we have to spend money on it, but we have to have the correct policies to make it a win-win situation.
There needs to be more negotiations between the different departments within Europe and also within the Netherlands, for example, to make sure that decisions are not like contradicting each other.
Public pressure is very important from civil society in Europe and from developing countries towards the European Parliament, so that we can be in this political debate armed with arguments and public pressure from the field.
Well, the government, and Knape in particular, he has to have the guts and the courage to talk to his colleagues about this important issue, and to make sure that his colleagues act on making development effective and efficient. Because he cannot do it alone. He needs effective policies on agriculture, trade, economics, finance, and he needs this minister to start acting.
Policy coherence for development is in our interest, in the interest of European citizens. If we want a stable world with peace, with rights for every citizen and a sustainable development, you cannot do this if you overlook the interests of citizens in other continents.
Make sure you take into account the interests of the people in the developing countries. It's ridiculous to, on one hand, give development aid, give money from the Dutch taxpayers, and on the other hand, take so much money from Africa and give it back to Dutch society. That doesn't make sense, so please get your act together.
Mr. Knape, talk to your colleagues in the economic departments, talk to your colleagues in business, and convince them that we need coherent policies. And we need them now and not tomorrow.